Hate networking? Good. Me too. Now, over the past 14 years of flipping houses, acquiring rentals, and building cash flow, I built a system that actually works. A 4-step framework to finding the right people and growing for real. No mixers, no meaningless coffee chats, just results. Now, it comes down to this 4-step system. Step 1, profile. Step 2, scout. Step 3, pipeline. Step 4, lead. Now, before we get into these 4 frameworks, let's zoom out for just 1 second. Bear with me, because one of the biggest mistakes I see new investors make is trying to build relationships with people they don't actually need. They're out here networking with anyone who has a business card instead of focusing on the key players that actually drive your real estate business forward. Spend 80% of your energy on the 20% of vendors who actually move your business forward. 1 is contractors, to execute your scope of work and protect your budget. 2, wholesalers. This is optional, but if you're not going out to source the deals yourself with direct marketing, you need wholesalers on your team. 3 is lenders, hard money, private money, even banks. 4 is real estate agents, both on the buy side and the sell side. Usually it's going to be the same one. 5, property managers. If you're holding rental property, which is always what we're ultimately wanting to do, then you need a property manager. And then finally, there's what I would call the admin types. These are like attorneys, CPAs, bookkeepers, insurance brokers, etc. Now, you don't need them all at once, but you need to know how to find the right ones when the time comes, because the time does come. That's it. That's your roster. Not hundreds of people in your Rolodex, not a giant spreadsheet, a tight list of high impact players who actually move your business forward. And sure, that is somewhat of a simplified version. You're going to run into others like engineers, surveyors, architects, etc. You name it. But the good news, you're going to use the same 4-step system for every one of them. So with no further ado, let's get into step 1. That's profiling. That's right. That's when profiling is actually a safe word. Now, I'm a solo real estate operator. No employees, no W-2s. So I want people who hunt what they eat. I want them to be hungry. There is a flip side to this, guys. Listen, if you don't manage those people properly, you actually become the meal. We're going to get to that here in a couple minutes. But when you're profiling vendors, here's what you're actually looking for. New vendors who are hungry for growth, and with them, you have a chance to become one of their top dog customers, or an established vendor who's really not chasing growth anymore. They've found that they're just selective and they're looking for great clients. In either one of these cases, you want to be that client for these people. Now, be cautious if any one of these guys is focused on images more than results. This is shiny offices, wrapped trucks, branded polos. That's not always a red flag, but sometimes, a lot of times, it means they care more about their status than the substance. I know, that's going to rub some people the wrong way. So comments, go. Now, on the flip side, if they're rolling around in some rusted out beater vehicle or they're working out of their stepmom's basement, probably not ideal either. So look for an owner of a business who's smart and involved, someone who has genuine passion for the work. This is usually like a technician at heart. You don't want to pay extra just for somebody's ability to manage remotely. Most people are going to get that one wrong. That's right. I want the technician who's still out there doing the work, or in their office doing the work, but not too nice of an office. You get me. Here's another one. Make sure that they're confident in their pricing. If someone's afraid to tell you a number, it usually means that they're trying to figure out how much they can squeeze you for later, i.e., you're the meal in the hunting analogy. And finally, they should have a genuine appreciation for your potential business. This isn't dating. It's not cool to be the one who shows less interest. I think that's still a thing. I've kind of been out of the field for the last decade. So maybe now you guys like talk about how much you like each other. I don't know. But also, if they're begging for a job, that's also a little bit of a red flag. There's a balance. And that brings me to my last point. Guys, you just got to trust your gut. If something feels off, trust me, it is. Now, over time, you're going to learn to put words to that gut instinct. But for now, the universe gave you a radar. use it. Over time, hone it. All right, now, speaking of hunting, now that you know what you're looking for, it's time for you to go on the offensive. And that's step 2, scouting. And here's the truth, guys. If someone is easy to find, it's probably because they're paying a lot of money to be easy to find. That means that they're paying a lot for marketing. And if they're paying big for marketing, chances are they're also paying for their bloated overhead, bad management, and their ego-sized operation. And they're going to pass those expenses to you as their customer. That's not what I'm looking for. No, I want hungry people who want to grow, people who treat me like a top client because I might actually become one. And to find those people, yeah, you're going to have to do a little bit of work. But here is where and how I scout. Number 1 is I always keep my eyes open. Always be recruiting. ABR, baby. Stoplights, gas stations, job sites, your kid's pickup line at school. Anywhere you go, be scanning for trucks, yard signs, and anyone looking like they're out there hustling. If I see a van or a truck that fits my profile and it's got a number on it, I take a photo of it and I follow up later. Literally happens every day when I'm driving to work. Eyes and ears are always open. All right, next is Facebook groups. Every town has a few. They're like real estate investor groups, flipper or landlord groups, general small business groups, or maybe trade groups. And once you get inside, don't just post, hey, any recommendations for XYZ? No, look at the posts where people are already asking for help. Look in the history, like, something that says, hey, I need a roofer, or anyone know a good bookkeeper? And then go check out those comments. Who are the people tagging? Who are they vouching for? And then I'm going to go track those people down on Facebook. That's my scouting list. Now, I'm going to cover what to do with that actual information here in the next section, which is pipeline. But next is referrals with filters. They are great. Referrals are great, but you have to understand who they're coming from. As an example, if another investor gives you a contractor or a wholesaler referral, well, just think about it. If that vendor is limited on bandwidth, which they are, and they're actually good, well, why would somebody give them away? They probably won't. That's right. You're probably getting leftovers. You're getting table scraps. However, on the other side, if your friend who just did a one-time reno on their personal house recommends somebody, well, that could be gold. They have no reason to hold that card. Same thing goes if a vendor refers another vendor. Like a real estate agent is not going to give you the name of a property manager who's going to make them look bad. So that would be a solid referral. And then next, here's an advanced strategy for you, which is license lookups. This one's for the deep scouts out there. You see, contractors, real estate agents, CPAs, and others are licensed through the state that you live in. And you can actually search those public databases to pull a list of active professionals. And then I always look them up on like Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. I try to find their website. And once again, if I can find them easily, they're probably not the ones I want to talk to. I want to find the ones that I have to work to go find. Quiet pros are often the best pros. Just to make sure you got that. Pro tip, if they're harder to find, that's better for you. Okay, now you know how to profile. You know how to scout. Now what the heck do you do with those names once you have it? Well, people always get a little bit confused when I talk about building a pipeline. And it makes sense because most people treat vendors like there's some public service. You think they're just there waiting for you to call them and they'll be at your beck and call. But here's the truth. You're not their only option. And truthfully, on paper at least, you're probably not their best option. You might be far from it. So you need to make them believe that you are. And yeah, that's going to require a little bit of salesmanship. I'm not talking about greasy used car salesmanship. I'm talking about real sales, the kind that helps people see your vision. It helps them believe in your vision. So here's how I build a vendor pipeline that actually works. Number 1 is I'm going to approach with intent. You've been scouting. Now you got names and numbers, or you've seen them in person. And it's time to reach out in person or by phone. Now, this isn't just a passive call. You're not just seeing what they charge. No, you're approaching with a purpose. So number 2, you're going to confirm the profile. Before anything else, make sure they fit the actual profile that you built in step 1. Ask them what they do, how they work, what kind of clients they take on. Just some topical, shallow questions so you can frame the conversation and complete your profiling. Do they sound like your type of operator? Great. If not, cross them off your list. You're not here to adapt them. You're building a roster. Next, number 3, you got to sell yourself first. Now, this is the part that a lot of people skip. So you don't immediately grill them deeply about how they run their business and what you can get from them. No, you go first. Give them your elevator pitch. You tell them who you are and what type of business you run and what kind of people you're looking to work with, and ultimately what kind of person you are to work with. This is you building your personal brand with them. Be authentic, be clear, be confident about what you do. Think about what you do so you have a great elevator pitch. Now, number 4, you add them to your depth chart. See, now, since you've gone first, you've opened them up with that elevator pitch, and you can start asking them deeper questions about their business. Now you're finding out if they're a fit for you. And if they are, add them to your pipeline, your depth chart. This could be a spreadsheet, a notes app, a notebook, like with paper and pen, like they used to use. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you treat it like a football team. You don't just have a starting quarterback. You got the second string. You've even got the third string. That's what a real pipeline is. It's a depth chart because your go-to guy could blow his knee out, and you need to know exactly who you're going to call next. Now, like I said before, you really only need one in each one of these positions to get started, but over time, you're going to build your bench. You don't want to get overwhelmed here, so just start with one, level up over time. And finally, number 5, follow up. Look, you won't always need somebody right away, but you're always out there recruiting. So maybe you're building your wholesaler pipeline, but you're not really ready to buy right now. Maybe you're scouting CPAs a few months before tax season. That's fine, but you just want to keep in touch. You want to stay top of mind. So you drop a text or maybe a quick call every few weeks or every few months, depending on how important they are on your list. Something like, hey, I'm that big, ugly, bearded guy that you met at the Quick Trip on 4th Street. Just want to let you know I'm getting real close to being ready to buy again. So hope business is going good. I'll talk to you soon. Easy enough, right? You're not being annoying. You're building familiarity and trust. Now, when the timing's right, they're going to remember you. You won't be starting at square one. And guys, you got to remember the 80-20 rule. If they're your second string, don't waste too much effort. Second string might get a call every 6 to 12 months, but the wholesaler that I'm getting ready to source a deal through, he's my new pen pal, talking to him all the time. Now, the last step is where everything falls apart or comes together. Step 4, lead. And the first thing you need to understand is this: communication is hard. Like, way harder than you think. You might say something with total clarity in your mind, and they'll hear something completely different. I mean, just the other day, I have a commercial building out here that I'm renting out to another tenant. And in the lease, it says paint match the awning. You see, the awning has like a rim where it's got this worn out beige color that is not holding up so well. And so what I think he means by that is that I got to get a beige paint match done, sand off some of that bad paint, and then repaint it. And sure enough, he's sending me a text. This is like weeks after we do it. And he's like, hey, when are you going to do that paint match? And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I've already done it. Stop bothering me. And after a little bit of frustration, I finally figure out that what he meant by paint match was, could you make that awning the same color as the rest of the building, which was like a really dark blue? You see the disconnect there. I totally thought I knew what he was talking about, and he totally thought I was crazy. But that's how easy it is to get things twisted, even when everyone's acting in good faith. Luckily, I've made so many mistakes in my life that I could feel that something was off in that conversation. So I started asking more questions, and we finally got to the bottom of it. But listen, everybody thinks they're a great communicator until they get smacked in the face with a $10,000 phone call. Now, I'm not saying that that awning cost me 10 grand or anything, but trust me, I've had way bigger screw ups that cost me way more money. So if you want to lead, I mean, really lead, here are the steps. Number 1, set expectations brutally. Spell out your vision. Know exactly what you want. Say it clearly. Then say it again. Get it in writing. Get it on a video if you have to. Do all of them. Make sure that they can repeat it back to you. Because there are really two things that you're doing in this step. One is to make sure you're 120% sure that you're aligned in communication. And two is for you. And there is nothing that I can tell you that is more important than this. And it's why I think that the conventional wisdom of you need to build a great team is total BS. And I think it leads a lot of people into some real trouble. See, when I left my corporate job to go full-time in real estate, I carried some of that corporate belief system with me. Find the right guy, give him some freedom, let the expert do his work. That's real leadership, right? Well, that works in a big company, but in small business, in real estate, nah. And that's how you get burnt. I should know. It's happened to me over and over again. And worst of all, you might not even realize it's happening until months later. So here is what I had to learn the hard way, that blind trust is absolutely not leadership. Building a team without clear expectations is how most people crash and burn. Just think about it, guys. Every vendor you work with, every contractor, every CPA, every agent, their primary goal is and should be growing their own business. Now, you might be an important part of that, but you're still just a part. Never forget that. Okay, now, does that mean micromanagement? No, but kind of. I don't believe in micromanagement. It's kind of like the antithesis of leadership. But I do believe in two things that are somewhat related. And it's my newlywed approach and what I call the 007 method. Let me explain. So first, the newlywed approach. When you first get married, your wife nags you, but everything is like sweet. She asks you to take out the trash and it's like, hey, honey, I would really love it if you would, pretty please take the trash out. And you're like, yeah, okay, how could I say no to that? And that's how I treat follow-ups. Now remember, it's the newlywed approach, not the 10 years of marriage approach. Those are two different things. So you don't micromanage. You micro nag. It's totally fair game. And that's why I keep a regular, like weekly or whatever period check-in with anybody that I'm working with. It doesn't have to be intense. A text or a call works. And calls are usually better, by the way, because they can't really hide from a phone call. They have to face the music. Whereas with text, it's a little bit easier to kind of slide by. But I'll say something like this. Hey, I'm just doing a check-in because I got to update my systems to make sure I know where everything's at. But I just want to make sure that we're still on track. There's no pressure here, just keeping everything in sync. I'm not trying to make you go faster. Yeah, I make it sound like it's more about me, not them. It softens it. It's a little gentle pressure, not a crackdown. And then there's my 007 method. Now, this one's really for the boots on ground people like contractors or maybe even real estate agents, especially contractors. But every week or two, I do what I call micro spying. I go to a job site and I show up and I say, I'm just taking pictures for my business partner. Or, if the property's listed, I might say, hey, I got to grab a quick video for my lender. I'm not there for them. I'm there for some other reason. And maybe I observe a few things while I'm there. Because sometimes, guys, if you wait for problems to show up, it gets a lot worse. So sometimes I want to catch the big things in advance. But this is leadership. This is not blind trust, but it's not hand-holding. It's just steady attention, well-placed reminders, and accountability through action. You don't got to be annoying. You just have to be present. Now, speaking of accountability, that is step number 3 here. And that's holding accountability ruthlessly. And you should hold accountability absolutely ruthlessly. But you can only do that if you've done your job in setting clear expectations, and then you go and demand results. If the job wasn't done the way that you outlined, you can say, I'm sorry, man, but I am not paying for this until it matches what we agreed upon. But on the other side, guys, if you did not communicate clearly from the jump, if your expectations weren't crystal clear, then holding accountability just makes you an asshole and nobody's going to want to work with you again. You have no ground to stand on. So make sure that you, without a shadow of a doubt, have set those expectations and communicated them clearly. Now you can actually make sure you get what you want. Now, that is, of course, going to lead you to some difficult conversations at times. Difficult, but not complex. But if you haven't set those expectations, it's going to cost you. You're going to have to eat some. Now, the most important leadership concept and the thing that will make your business run on autopilot, that's building and protecting your relationship capital. See, relationship capital is the wind in your sails. If you're constantly having to row too hard in your business, well, you probably haven't built deep enough relationships with the vendors that you work with. Or you need to go back and work on yourself harder as a leader. But when you are constantly building trust and clarity, the team that you work with wants you to win. You become aligned with them. They get better. You get better. And that's the flywheel. That's the secret to scaling without stress. You see, a solo real estate operator is only as good as the people they work with. It takes strong leadership. But you can make a difference not only in your own life, but your family's future. I'm talking about generational wealth here, not just financial wealth, but the kind that shapes how you, your kids, and their kids approach life. Not bowing down to the forces that be, but having ownership over their destiny. And the best part is that when you do it right, it's not in spite of the people you work with. It's in alignment with them. You can help others build their empire while you build your own. Now that's intrinsic value. That's intrinsic wealth. And it doesn't get any better than that. You can actually have your cake and eat it too in this business. Now, we talked about all the vendors out there, but contractors specifically are a little bit of a different beast altogether. And honestly, managing them can be absolutely overwhelming. And that's why I created what I call the lazy project manager approach. Less input and way more output. It's like the 80-20 principle on crack. And I made a whole video about that method, including the 18 rules for managing contractors. So check it out, guys, and thanks for hanging out.